I'm Sarah. You guys, we have a Wednesday episode to talk about, BB23 veto episode. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Tonight, we have very special guests, our good friend Chantele and our new friend Jonathan. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. How are you? Give me. You had power issues. How are you doing, Chantele?
I mean, I'm great. I love actually sitting down and watching Big Brother. I also love when I'm coming on someone else's show. So I'm like, I take notes, but I don't have to furiously take notes.
Yes.
Like, I guess it's going to be like chill, just enjoy the episode, which I loved. And this season, I've just really enjoyed every episode. It's just, I love the characters, the cast of people. I love following their story and their journeys. So it's just, as usual, enjoyable.
It has been enjoyable. How about you, Jonathan? Did you like this episode? How are you feeling?
I do. Wednesdays are actually my favorite episodes. I think they're super underrated, but you gain a lot of perspective. And I think this episode was about perspective. It was very interesting to see how everyone feels about things and other people in the house. And so I had fun watching it today.
Well, let's dive into it, guys. We are going to start here at the top of the episode. The first thing of note to me was that Sarah Beth says in the DR, she's smart enough to realize pushing any farther might put a target on her back.
She didn't even take her own advice. Like, she's still gunning for it. You know, if you button it with what happens at the end of the episode, she's like,
right?
She's the only person that I'm worried about, so I'm coming for you. And it's like, maybe you should take a step back and chill a little bit, Sarah Beth, because if she stays and she hears that you're gunning for her, she literally will start coming for you. So I'm surprised by her tactics this week.
Yeah, and I thought Sarah Beth was, the smarter thing to do, in my perspective, is to either really push it and try to take control, or just not mention it and observe and kind of just, see where it goes. Yeah. That middle ground just puts you out there as someone who, as we saw later in the episode, gets blamed for certain things. And having that kind of, if you're the outlier, then, it's easy to kind of put the target on you later on. So I don't know that she was that smart with kind of how she went about it. I mean, she's very observant, but.
Yeah, well, I love this advice for herself. I just feel like it's a little too late.
Take it.
She didn't do it early enough. I wonder. I haven't seen evidence of how observant she is. Like, obviously, she realized she didn't get her way, but like putting the pieces together, I'm still waiting for her to do that. She doesn't do any cam talking, so I'm not even sure.
I'm so frustrated. So with Robin's podcast, they do a stock watch. And so 2 weeks ago, I bought some Sarah stocks, actually a lot of Sarah stocks. And I meant to sell them and buy somebody else, but I forgot to play the stock market last week. And so I have all my stocks in Sarah, and her stocks have plummeted. I'm like, I have these dead stocks. I'm like, oh. So she really cost me a lot of money last week, like $60.
I would have bought stock in her too.
I did, like, up until this week. I was like, but I wasn't going to keep it on her. Like, I would have switched it, but I didn't. And then her stock plummeted way more than I was even expected. So her game is tanking, and I don't even think she realizes how badly she's going down.
I don't think so. Whitney is obviously upset. She's now a nominee sitting on the block. She has a conversation with Xavier, her cuddle buddy. What happened, my friend? Why would you let your team put me up? And he alludes to, you said our names, and she is just like, oh, I would never say your name, never ever. And then they show us the receipts. Of course, she just said Kings.
It's true. I never saw it personally. I don't remember seeing her say Christian's name specifically, but I'm sure that it was implied maybe by a lot of people. Pretty much everybody was saying, like, we got to take out a king, we got to take out a king. And then maybe also in the same sentence being like, and Christian's such a competition threat. So it could just be that everybody's just assumed that, and they're just putting the blame all on Whitney.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but also in her exchange with X, it was so evident that she was upset with something else, and that was on her mind, and the way she exited the room and everything else. I was just like, you're not great at lying. If I was him, I would be sitting there and I'd be like, you look, like you were just caught with your hand in the cookie jar kind of a thing. So, and then just up and leave too on top of it.
Looking guilty. Looking sus.
She does look guilty. She does look sus all the time.
He was like, I'm gonna go. He's like, oh, okay.
Then Christian, he's just gonna do some burpee backflips. Guys.
Okay,
no big deal.
I've taken gymnastics many years of my life when I was younger, and to do a standing back tuck, it's actually very difficult. And like, even on a trampoline, like, getting the right momentum is hard. But to do burpees, which is created by the perceived devil, because they're so bad, I can't stand a burpee. And then the amount of energy that it takes you to throw your whole body around to do a standing back tuck, it's very impressive. But he shouldn't be doing that because he's already looks like this comp beast.
See, I disagree. And I thought that at first, but then I'm like, you know what? The people are already saying it. And so you might as well own it. Make people, if they're going to strike and go after you, make sure they might be afraid because your name's already out there. So that fear might keep them from taking that strike against you. So I'm like, you know what? You're already winning things. Might as well just show off even more so how much of a threat you are, because you're not going to take that off of you, that target or that kind of category that they've put you in as someone who's really athletic and capable of winning competitions. You might as well just own it. I mean, I'm with Brittany. I can't even do a burpee. Like it's just without getting a little faint, I need to check my blood sugar levels first, but I'm like, own it, Christian. Like,
I can't do a push-up. I can't do a burpee. I can't do a back. I can't do any like one single piece of that, much less put it all together.
Wait, have you actually ever tried to do a burpee though? Like actually? No? Okay, just try one day. They suck. Like they really suck. I remember when I was in Vancouver.
Why would I want to do this?
Well, just to know how badly they suck. This girl I knew in Vancouver, she would do like burpee, but then do box jumps. Like when you just like stand on the ground and then you just jump up onto a box. Mm-hmm. And so then she'd go up to one side and then down to the other side. And I was already like, you're disgusting. Why are you doing that? That's so cruel. And I think the backflip is even harder. So
I'm not going to lie though. I was like, wait, is he going to? I haven't been online. So I'm like, is he going to pull Christmas? Like, is he going to like? I was looking at those feet and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Be careful with that kind of stuff. That will take you out of the whole game by doing something silly. Yeah.
Break a toe, break an ankle, you're out, bud. I just think it's funny that they just really aren't targeting him in general. Like here he is showing off, winning comp after comp after comp, doing these backflips, and he's not like the biggest target in the house. Like, cool.
I think because people are using him to take out people like Whitney or make sure that he wins the veto when they can control whatever happens. So right now it's good for a lot of people's games, especially since he's working with a big alliance that like there's going to be 7 other people or 6 or however many other people in that alliance that aren't going to be targeting him right now because it's helpful for them to get further in the game.
And with Christian, with Christian, you can it is what you get. It's the enemy, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they're more concerned seemingly with the people who are kind of working behind the scenes, and they know that Christian's not really that guy. So that's why I think they're not too worried about it.
There's not a lot.
Mention on the feeds. Brittany actually has a conversation with Christian being like, no, you shouldn't downplay your, how good you are at comp. So she had the same argument as you did, Jonathan, about like lean into the idea of being a comp beast just because they already think that you are, because he was considering loosely, but considering maybe throwing the next veto because he doesn't want to win 3 vetoes in a row, or that would be 4 competitions in a row that he's won. But she's like, but they already think that you're going to win a lot of competitions, so you might as well win the competitions then, instead of being like the target and have no power. So she did have the same advice as you, Jonathan.
Yeah, you will scare off some people, and people will know that they will have to have the entire house behind them in order to get you. And they might just be like, you know what, maybe not now, maybe later or something.
And he even said that he's like the type of player that's going to have to be backdoored. So
yeah, and I think we've all realized that is how it will happen. He will have to be backdoored for sure. Okay, Azza, adorable, jealous middle school crush. Is it petty? She asks. Well, it might be. She tells him, oh my God, this was like the dorkiest little conversation.
I couldn't watch. I mean, I watched, but I was like, like, oh my God, like you're like, okay, you're both like 30 or so. Like you can't just tell him like, hey, I'm interested in you. But like, it was cute for a moment, but I was embarrassed. I
think the cute part was that he didn't understand. Like before she said anything, he was like, "Oh, what are we in?" Like he was anticipating something probably bigger or more serious. But, and she was just doing this thing, and I'm like, I mean, it was a little cringe. It was. I was. I'm like, have you not been in a relationship, or like, are you not able to like speak to guys normally, or what's your deal? I want to know more about her though because of it. So
it was so middle school with like, I have a secret, but it's really cringy because he's all like not giving it back to her. He's just like, ha ha ha, and then he says he's Mr. No Showmance, but if Christian were to leave, I bet you he'd change his tune if Alyssa was available.
Oh, he'd be all over Alyssa, I'm sure. I'm sure she would be. I actually was wondering, though, what do you think that he was anticipating Azza really saying? Like, what could it, from how she was acting with like the little crumbs that she was giving, do you think he had any idea?
Gameplay. Like I really thought, look at us say, oh, you can't say, or you're like, I thought it was like gameplay is what he anticipated.
Yeah, she was going to be like, I'm going to nominate Tiffany and we're going to break up the cookout is what he thought was about to come out of her mouth. He was like, what? She's like, no, I just had a crush on you.
This wasn't the only time that I've seen them have this conversation. They just had it a couple of days ago outside where she just talks about like, it's now open common knowledge between the two of them. Like, yeah, like, you know, I like you. And like, they're talking about relationships and talking about like long distance relationships. And like, he's basically saying like, he doesn't want any sort of showmance. He says cuddling is fine because cuddling is high school, but like, no, he doesn't want to on TV and all that stuff. So he's really laying it out there to be like, Azza, I'm not going to be having a showmance with you at all. But she's still trying.
She's cute. She's cute. Well, DX, he's in a tough spot here. He's doesn't like both of his teammates as nominees. He's telling us that he'll save Hannah with the veto. I don't know if that's true.
This is what I didn't understand. And this is what I was talking about with perceptions being really skewed, perhaps. But I didn't know why he feels like he wants to. I guess I maybe don't know what he would really do, but I didn't know why he would want to win the veto. And when he started talking about potentially pulling people off and wanting to play and wanting to win, I was like, why would you put yourself in that situation where you have to make certain decisions and show your cards when you could literally sit back and not want to be a part of that, unless you genuinely want to make sure that, you know, Brittany's on the block or something like that, and make sure Hannah's not even an option. But I don't know. I was like, what are you going to do? And why do you want to show your cards? Why do you want to make these decisions? I thought it was weird.
I mean, personally, I think that he realized that how bad it will be that it's only going to be him and Hannah potentially, or him and Whitney, like just 2 people on the original Aces team left in the game. And so I think he wanted to maybe at least make the decision to have both of them potentially be saved. And so that's why I think that he wanted to play. I don't think he thought it fully through with the fact that like the Royal Flush was not going to want him to use it. I think that he forgot about that part and just, it was like, oh, wait, you know, like I'm going to save a teammate and they might be able to understand. So I think that he was just wanting to save both of his teammates if he could.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't quite sure what his end game was going to be, but knew he just felt like if he won it, he'd be part of the decision making. Whereas if he didn't win it, he doesn't know if Christian was going to do some like other move, something else would happen that he wasn't in on. He knew about this going into it. He knew before they even played HOH that Whitney and Hannah were the targets for the Kings, and he tried to steer that away, and he won with some people. Like he was able to get Tiffany and Claire not to target Whitney anymore. Like he did a lot of work last week, and then boom, Christian and Alyssa win. He didn't have any work done with them, and all of a sudden his teammates are up there. And so I feel like he was lost and confused. But yeah, what was he gonna do? Really not much they can do, right?
I would want to have that power, and I would want to be in those rooms making those decisions. So yeah, I think that's also,
I don't know.
He was on the bottom too the first week. Like he really has been kind of fighting for his position there, and I think that yes, it's great that he's in the royal flush, but you know, if
he's in a good position though. He's in a good position. So it's like, why rock that boat? Why put yourself out there if you don't have to? It's still early. So yes, you lose. I mean, we all know these groups aren't going to last forever, right? So it's like, yes, you're losing another team member, but it's about building relationships, whether it's within these groups or outside of these groups, you know, let alone just kind of making a 1 week decision to save someone that you don't really care that goes anyway. So I don't know. It was weird.
Jonathan, would you have thrown the veto, or would you have won it?
You know me. I could be out next week if I want. If you're like, you win this veto, you're going out next week, and I would still go for it because I can't lose. I can't willingly lose anything, so that's not in my blood. So yeah, but I mean, I'm also not playing for $750,000.
Well, if you did the moonwalk, Jonathan, would you fall, or can you do it?
I wouldn't do the moonwalk in pants like she was wearing.
Oh,
that I would kick on in front of everybody backwards, not having glanced backwards to see what was even behind me.
Or whom.
Yeah, I'm a little more observant than that, but I thought that was a funny moment for sure.
Well, it just kind of went with the narrative of her like having this like schoolgirl crush on Xavier, and then she's like being cute and silly and moonwalk, and then like flailing arms and like shell to him at least, but like anybody but him I'd want him to see me like fall like that, not my crush. So
yeah, I don't know how tall she is, but she seems pretty.
She's 5'8", I think she said.
Yeah, I mean, she seems pretty tall. Taller, I feel like taller people in general. I mean, 5'8's taller for a woman, I guess, but taller people in general don't have the best coordination as like a blanket statement. So I just thought it was funny that she was gonna go for that and right in front of everyone and wipe out, I guess.
Well, I guess they showed it to us in the edit because Xavier catches her and it's part of her middle school crush or whatever. But she has actually fallen and tripped and run into things a ton of times.
Oh.
And Chantele, do you know that she's a Sagittarius and that's a Sagittarius thing?
I didn't know it was a Sagittarius thing, but I did know that she's a Sagittarius. So you do the same?
Yes, we are such klutz. We have very little coordination. We fall over ourselves all of the time. And so I love that she's been doing all season. People are like, what is wrong with Azah? And I'm like, she's a Sagittarius, you guys. Also Christmas, Sagittarius.
I didn't know that about Sagittarius, but she definitely gives off the kind of not aware of her body movements. Like there's some glasses knocked over and broken. You can tell, like, you know. Sure.
Yes, it's supposedly it's because of the like we're half horse, half man, whatever, and we just trip over ourselves. That's what I've read. Anyway, veto picks. Let's pick some veto players. Christian's gonna pull Claire. Hannah's gonna get house guest choice. She gets her man DX, and Whitney pulls Azah here.
I mean, I was happy.
These players?
Say it again.
Go ahead. Do we care about these players?
I mean, I didn't really care because I just felt that when Christian's playing, I was like, he's probably going to win. Like, or Derek X could win. So I was like, I kind of wanted to see that showdown because those are the two people that have been winning all the vetoes. Is that right? Yeah, I think only them have won vetoes, correct? Just Christian and
Derek.
Derek.
The first one? Derek
Isn't that Derek F? Derek F won the first two, and then Christian. So yeah, so I was interested maybe in that, but I kind of felt that Christian was going to be taking it, and Derek X was not going to win. So I was just kind of like, I don't really expect Ozzy to do that well, especially after seeing her fall there. I was like, I don't know if I have any faith in her. Hannah, I haven't really seen her perform, so I was like interested to see maybe what was going to go on with her. And then who else was there? Christian and Whitney.
Claire. Claire has no reason to win. Like, I mean, that's the thing is like, it's really just down to the nominees for this one, or the HOH to keep them the same.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, that moment I was worried for Derek X because it was continuing that narrative of like him wanting to win. He was mentioning, and then he gets selected, and I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And so I was like, uh-oh, he's going to win this. And then, but it was quickly overshadowed by the fact that Sarah Beth made a moment about herself. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I saw Tiffany's eyes. I saw Tiffany's eyes as she was not having it, like on that couch.
No, here's my question about that. Because I think it was in the edit because we're going to lead into Tiffany, not having wonderful things to say about Sarah Beth. But I thought, like, did Sarah Beth, was she upset because she had a plan? Do you think if she was going to play, she wanted to play, and she'd win and do something crazy, like pull Whitney off?
Yeah, I think she would have. I don't
know.
She kind of said it in the diary room that she's like, she was rooting for Whitney to win. So I would assume that if she had that power, because she's been so like, I want my target out. I've lost this battle, but it hasn't ended yet. Like, she really wants it that badly. I think that if she won that veto, she would have used it on Whitney. I really see it.
And perhaps, but I think in that moment, like body language, she was sitting back, arms crossed, very cut off. It was a very kind of a me and myself moment. So if you look at her body language and kind of how she was saying it, it just seemed like a very kind of selfish moment that she shouldn't have spoken out loud, because it's making a moment about you that has nothing to do with you. And people are going to be upset over stuff like that. So I thought that was really dropping the ball on her part.
Mm-hmm. She's a Leo. What are you gonna do?
I saw your tweet today saying that like it's a battle of the Leos between Tiffany and Sarah Beth.
Hold on.
And I was agree.
Are there any Libras in the house like myself?
Not anymore. Mr. Travis was our only one.
Okay. Well, we didn't see much of him, but okay.
We didn't get to see that Libra in full effect. Yeah, I feel like Leo season, both of our Leos are really feeling themselves, and they are vying for that spot of King of the Jungle. And we're definitely seeing like, don't take my man Kylan, a little fight over Kylan. I find that very, very fascinating. But so now Tiffany, she can't hide her face around Sarah Beth. She just can't do it. And she's going to tell Hannah, Sarah Beth was pushing hard for you.
And I love that. Go ahead. Sorry. Go.
Oh, I was just going to say, I thought she did such a great job when they were in the bedroom and how she was bringing it up. Took it too far when she started mentioning specifically the kind of, watch out for yourself and whatnot. But I thought Tiffany strategically is doing such a good job with things. But I do think she is going to be called out on stuff soon if she doesn't kind of like, don't say people's names, just lead them down that path, but don't actually, give it to them fully. And so I thought there was that moment in that room where she was like, oh, by the way, to Hannah, I would, watch out and be careful. And I was like, great job. And then she started kind of saying names and I was like, oh, that's not great.
Well, I think that she's saying names is because she's starting to have a really close relationship with Hannah. So her and Claire right now, they do the most gaming and strategizing, but Hannah's kind of moving into that position. Like, she talks to Hannah a lot in this past week. And so I think that it's allowing Hannah to be like, hey, she really is an ally here. She's looking out for me. She's not being vague with, what information she's giving me. She's being very specific. And I think that's just going to help have a little bit of trust. trust. So I think that's why she was doing it. And also, I just love the fact that she uses like braiding hair as an opportunity to like spill some information without it looking like you're just talking game. I'm thinking like, if I ever go to the Big Brother house, I'm learning how to French braid, do plaits, like interesting hair designs, because I think it's a very smart strategy.
I agree, but like some of the comments that just popped up too, it's I do think she's overplaying just a little bit. Just rein it in just a little bit, and you're good to go. You're still on the right path, but just be careful.
Yeah. Well, she's been playing hard. You're gonna get caught eventually at that rate. This veto, holy moly, bump set veto.
Brutal.
What? This is basically endurance. This was like such cardio. We're doing beach volleyball, but we're rolling it through a tube. We got to get it over to the other side, but we have to catch it. Can't let it drop. If you do, resets back to 0. First person to 100 gets the veto. And I was exhausted just watching this.
I didn't like it. I mean, it was good though. Like, Jonathan, you actually always like to analyze and, decide if you like or dislike these games.
Yeah, well, I definitely like, the action ones. And we've obviously seen this competition before where you roll the ball up and roll it down on the other side. But I think this is one of the hardest ones because it's that kind of that dip. Like, are you doing kind of, I forget what I've done before, but certain competitions, exercises, whatever, where you have to essentially do squats, that is hard. And so doing that many as well. But I do think Christian had the best. His eye was on the ball. You want to make sure, because you knew it was going to catch someone, like it rolling back down and it not going over and them missing it. So it's keep your eye on the ball the whole time. It's be fully aware of if it's going over there and just have a rhythmic kind of movement that you but also, Derek was playing very well as well, kind of just slow and steady, because someone like Christian could absolutely move too quickly. And but I think because he was looking at the ball the whole time, he wasn't dropping it, which was very important. So I loved it. It was hard. It was fast. But I also think that it's something that although the guys were doing better, I do think anyone could have done really well in it. Yeah. I do think so. I think if you're physically fit, it's obviously, look, is Derek F gonna win that? Probably.
But what is he gonna win?
But it's like if you're physically fit, whether you're a man or a woman, I think it's kind of equal. It's not like it plays to like upper body strength or lower body, you know what I mean? It's like a full kind of, and Christian has that kind of lean but very fit ability to him. So yeah.
But I'd have to say, though, the reason why I would think that it's a little bit favored more towards men is because men generally are taller. And so they're going to be able to take less strides to go back and forth and catch that ball. And so that's the only way that I say it's a little bit unfair and a little bit more geared to taller, physically fit people. Not Claire, though. Claire is 6 feet tall, but she has no stamina, apparently.
Were the nets adjusted based on their height? Because if they're not and you're shorter, then you're not dipping as low. So
yeah. I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say like a smaller female would have an advantage because of going under that net. Whereas Claire, I feel like probably had to do such a big dip to get under. I don't think she was trying super, super hard, but I loved the comp. I was like, gosh, this is so hard going under and just the back and forth, making sure you catch it. But also, like you said, keeping your eye on the ball. It was really testing a lot of skills. And Christian's just an all around athlete, even though I thought his strategy of like, just go fast, speed kills, like what? But because he's got that athletic, like eye on the ball thing, worked just fine.
And it's not just a physical competition like it is first and foremost, but at the same time, it is mental, because if you drop the ball and you're 20 in, even just near the beginning of it, just mentally getting back into it, you just have to stay with it. So it is a mental component to it too, as well. So I liked it.
I was impressed that Azah was in the lead there for a bit, but unfortunately she dropped it and had to reset. Wit just couldn't quite get it, doing horribly. And basically we see a fun battle there at the end between Derek and Christian. And this made sense to me because I heard on the feeds, Derek, this competition really like said something to Derek, because he has said, I've thrown a few comps, right? I had to throw a few comps. But this one, I was really trying, and I could not beat Christian. And that has really been spinning in his head all week. And watching it, now it makes sense that this was quite a close battle. And then obviously Christian's going to win it.
Well, and it didn't even seem even like Christian had any trouble. Like, did he drop the ball ever, or did he just go straight through and just like catch that rhythm and, you know, didn't have a problem getting to
maybe once at like 7
early.
or something? Yeah, like really early. But that's kind of like get your feet early on and then just go for it. And he really, you know, he did a great job. But
I'm so bad at that competition. Like, if it was events with a lot of people that weren't that physically fit, maybe I'd do okay. But like, I wouldn't even come near to. I'd be going slowly. Like Christian's doing super fast. I'd be like, I'm gonna go slow, and then run and catch it, slow and run and catch it. But I'd probably get exhausted pretty quickly.
Yeah, I feel like my arms would be like really burning. Like that movement would get me.
I wonder how long it actually takes them though, because if your adrenaline's kicking in and it's like, and you can do it within a certain period of time that's not too prolonged, I don't know. I still think anyone could do it if you know, the right set of circumstances. So
it wouldn't have been that long because, you know, we can tell by how long the feeds were shut down. So it was only about an hour and a half for the entire thing to be filmed. Go ahead.
And they asked a lot of questions.
Chantele and I did a stream, and they came back from veto already. I remember that on Saturday. It was like one of the fastest time the feeds was down. So yeah, I guess it wasn't that long.
And I know from watching past contestants on TikTok that I've seen that you know they obviously before any of these competitions they come out, or the game maker or whatever, and says, "Do you have any questions?" And that can be even longer than the actual gameplay itself. So there is a big portion of time where they just ask these questions. So if it was only shut down for an hour and a half, 2 hours or something, that would have also included that period of question and answer. Yeah.
It's more like 15, 20 minutes.
Look at that. TikTok facts coming at you.
I'm here for it. You know,
new segment with Jonathan.
Do you follow Brittany, Jonathan?
No, but I follow.
But you will.
Yes, I will. I absolutely will. I follow Christine, so she gives me all the jaded, you know, previous seasons facts.
She does like to give those, yes. Derek X is going to do a major slip up here, a whoopsie daisy, talking about have-nots coming up in the future, and just lets it fly that it'll have to be just he and Hannah. Just the two of them. And Whitney doesn't even pretend. She's like, excuse me.
That's a hard game to play when you're in a large group and you're keeping things from people. In general, myself, if I was in his position, I wouldn't speak up in large groups like that, especially when your guard is down, just letting information and talking about gameplay and letting just information fly. I'd be very careful, because that is extremely hard to get all your facts together of who knows what, who's in what group, you know, alliance or whatnot. So that was a big mistake. And even a bigger mistake, I think, was then showing that it was a big mistake, because you could have went up to her afterwards. You're like, Hannah was right there. Like, I wasn't gonna, you know, it didn't mean anything, right? What you could have said. So kind of, I think he showed his cards a little bit, but doesn't matter. I don't know. She's, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't think. I think it's very interesting, you know, the story that they're kind of painting, that she's like, you know, a woman scorned coming to, like, you know, she's so mad at Derek X and she wants him on the block. I mean, I'm sure this conversation happened. They showed it. But since then, like, she hasn't been really gunning for anybody or trying to stay in the house. Like, she's kind of slightly down. So,
yeah.
Maybe it's because the veto wasn't used, and so like she just doesn't think she has a chance anymore. But I would have liked to see a little bit more fight in her. You know, like I thought it was a good move for her to try to get Derek X put up there. It could have saved her potentially if she maybe had started doing that a little bit earlier or something, being like, look, Derek X and Hannah, they're a pair. He would have taken her off the block and messed up your head of household. Something to make them a little bit more scary, keeping them both together. But it was A, too little too late, and B, I'm so sad that she doesn't have any more fight left in her.
Well, I lost a bit of faith in her when listen, she was part of the the plan last week in some degree,
Mm-hmm.
and she knew that he was going last week. So if people aren't talking to you like that, and you're not the one making the plans, then you're in trouble. So I mean, so the fact that people weren't obviously speaking to her like they were last week with this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, and you know they're capable of it because that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to be really concerned. So she really needed to put the work in a lot earlier and have been on guard that people weren't coming to her like that. And so I don't know. I don't know how much of a game player she actually is with that.
She's not. She's a lovely lady, I'm sure. She did nothing wrong, but she just didn't arm herself with relationships. She said it a couple times on the feeds. I heard her say like, oh, I need to get closer with Claire. I need to have a conversation with Azza. And then she just never did it. And you're like, well, are you playing the game? So yeah, it's a little disappointing. I think it's fun for the edit to see Derek X sort of give her the ammunition so she can sit down with Christian. We see her talking to the HOH/veto winner here and make a good point. DX is your biggest competition threat here. Think about it. Unfortunately, she's a little island on her own. He is aligned with Derek X currently. And even if this was the best idea, he's not going to do it because he's more aligned with Derek X than he is with Whitney. So not going to go anywhere. We go into a veto ceremony where it is not used and our nominees are the same and the target is still the same.
I wonder what the producers are thinking because like we know, like you and I know, Sarah, that this has been a really exciting season. Like, I wonder when like all these things aren't being used that they think are placed there to shake things up. You know, they have they put the teams in place so there wouldn't be necessarily a big alliance that comes together that like just takes over the entire house. So that's why the teams were there. And then they decide to do like the wild card competition. So like even if a big group comes together, like this might shake things up. And then for 2 weeks in a row it wasn't used. So it was used the first week and the fourth week, and that's it. And then now this, like the veto is just never being used. It's being won by Christian, like, or the head of household in this case. And like it's just not. I feel like everything's not working for them, and I wonder if they think that it's still an exciting season because it's so exciting behind the scenes.
I mean, and the thing too is I think they just have too many likable people in the house. I love a good fight. I love get the pots and pans, get evil Dick in there kind of. I mean, what he's doing, what he did then wouldn't be acceptable now. But I mean, yeah, I like people like rooting against people too. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of likable people this season and maybe not enough people that I don't like. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think we're definitely entering a time here where people are just like so protective of their faves. They like too many people and they're like, oh my God, my fave's going after another one of my faves. It's going to be really, really hard here to start losing people. But we can't fault them because there actually is really good gameplay happening. So it's understandable. Yeah, I don't know. I think producers every season have to come up with twists and extra spicy fun things. But like last season, literally no veto was used. We never got any shakeup whatsoever. So the fact that we've gotten just like a couple of things this season, they probably are like, yay, woohoo! Claire took 2 weeks to safety this time. We got a couple things happening. Team twist. Yeah. I personally have enjoyed this team twist. I think it worked out.
Definitely. Because I really didn't like how in Big Brother Canada it was just 2 teams, and so I thought that it really easily allowed for a big group to work together, and so I think that this was a better idea having the 4 teams. It just made game talk happen a little bit better, and not just like one big group against another big group. So I think the team twist works.
It worked this season. Thank you for the super chat, William. Yeah, the Danielle Reyes motto. If they're not conniving with you, they're conniving against you. And that's the truth.
You can't just sit there and hope something's happening and it doesn't involve you. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are kind of just thinking that no game is being played. I would say the Joker's team completely is just like, oh, this is easy. Like nothing's happening. And like everybody's like, blah, 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 like talking like all night long. Like, Tiffany does not stop gaming. Like there's not a moment where she's not gaming. And if she's not gaming, it's because someone that she's targeting comes into the room and she switches the topic. But like the fact that the Jokers are really just not involved and don't really know what's going on, it's
well, at least they're in the cookout, except for Brittany, who I don't know what Brittany thinks.
You know what? The other day Brittany said she'd like to put up Christian and Derek X. And I was like, girl, you're the only one who has said that. And so yes, she lives in another room than the rest of the house, and she probably has already changed her mind, but at least she said it the one time. I'll give her credit for that. Okay. You know, who knows what she would actually do.
For to win head of household tomorrow?
I don't know. We know it's endurance, but we don't know what kind of endurance. We don't know wall, could be vines, could be like slip and slide. And those do cater to different types of people, different types of bodies. So I'm not even sure if we can say, you know, who's got the better chance. We can say Derek F is not.
I would venture a guess that I'm going to guess that it's going to be a wall challenge or a brand new one. But I think that they're gonna lean towards wanting a woman to win it. So I mean, we know producers all do this, right? So they plan ahead what they want, and I feel like the wall is usually like either a very lean, smaller man, or one of the women are would win it or are usually better at it. So it's either that or a brand new one that I feel like would lend itself more towards the women. So. We'll see, though. That's just a guess.
Very interesting.
I think it could be a wall, too, for the fact that they're like, we're showing it live, Paramount Plus, that like they might want to be able to have a good shot. And so if it's a wall, like maybe if it's like, I don't know how many people left, 12? Not 12. Is 12 people left? Yeah. So like 6 and 6. So like they'd have 2 cameras on like one side and 2 cameras on the other side. And so I could see them doing a wall just because it's just a lot easier to be able to track what's going on.
If it's a wall, I feel like Alyssa has a really good chance of winning, and that would not shake up the house. So I would like a pass on that one.
Hannah won't shake up the house that much either, but I wouldn't mind seeing her win. It's nice when someone's on the block and the target, and then the next week they come back and win and get some revenge.
That's true. Brittany would be the most fun, I think, because
what? Terrified as she is.
Unpredictable, yeah. What would happen? I don't know.
Right? Who knows? I would love Azza to win, just to like maybe get her back into the game a little bit, just like a little push.
Yeah, and Tiffany or Azza can do really well in like a wall type of a challenge potentially. So you never know.
I don't know if Tiffany's going to want to win it because it seems as though she prefers other people to take some shots. So she's already kind of set up who she wants to be the next target. I don't know if it's going to stick, but Sarah Beth is kind of who she wants to be going out next. And so if she doesn't have to do it, she won't be directly going against the Royal Flush, and then somebody else will take her out if that's ends up being the plan, and she wouldn't really get any blood on her hands. So I don't know if she'll win.
Yeah, I agree. Tiffany is definitely would prefer other people to do her dirty work, but her targeting Sarah Beth has already sort of crumbled with other people. And so I don't think she'd have the options of a bunch of people doing her dirty work this week if that were to happen, which I kind of don't mind seeing that. Her not getting her way is rare. So I would be on board with that. Just any sort of shaking it up.
Well, I mean, the Kings are probably, still a target, right? It's the 4 of them. So, I would assume that as long as, someone from them, then they don't win, that I would think that likely someone from there would be targeted, one of the 4, if not 2.
You would think.
You would think.
I don't know if they will, though, because Alyssa's been planting a lot of seeds, being like, Well, like for the other people in the Royal Flush, I think it's too early to come and break up our big alliance here right now. There's still people that we can take out, and like we don't need to hide who our target is. We can just go after them because we have the strength in numbers here. And so she keeps on kind of planting this to everybody, and so I don't know if it's going to stick with everybody because Tiffany knows this and she's still willing to take that shot, but other people might be hesitant to going after the Kings this week.
And is that even going to be a thought? Because Julie's going to say, hey, guys, get up on that wall. And by the way, teams are over tomorrow. So maybe that goes out the window. But when you think in that manner for several weeks, it's hard to let go of that.
And those people that you almost instinctually at this point have that connection with.
Yeah.
So I agree. And there was a pop-up earlier that, someone was asking if it was going to go into duos. I don't know how that would work. So I think they would just probably like release it and go back to individual. Yeah, is what I would think. So
I agree. I'm not sure why it would go into duos and like how it would go into duos. Yeah.
Like everybody picks a name out of a hat.
Would it be schoolyard pick or would it be random or
guy girl teams only?
Oh, Survivor style, like rock.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that it's like would still have to go with the theme of everything, so it would just kind of ruin it. So I feel like they would just like get rid of the teams, and then everyone's kind of on their own, and that's definitely going to happen sooner than later.
But there's already been talk. There's been talk about like we don't want all 4 kings in the jury together because they're like one vote basically, which I don't fully buy into. But if that's their mentality that teams are going to vote together, I feel like even when we lose teams, they're still going to consider the teams as alliances. I
absolutely
have a hard time seeing that drop.
Well, and I think also though they're probably worried about, well, if all the kings are in the jury and one king is on the final 2, it's very likely that the other 3 kings will vote for their person to win. So I think that that's also something that they're probably considering. And I know Alyssa's also been saying like, hey, like just because like we were in a team together doesn't mean we're going to vote for each other for sure at the end. And it's like, yes, you are going to vote for each other at the end. Like
just like her and Christian are not a showmans. Gosh.
Yeah,
Whatever,
I mean,
guys.
I know some people are probably thinking like, well, the aces turned on each other, but I think they're past the point of like you kind of flesh out the personalities in the first few weeks and kind of you figure out who you willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
So now I think we're like kind of getting beyond that, and I agree with you. They'll be tight until the end in some degree, and there'll be some level of just showing your support for your fellow who you started off with.
Well, if Christian is not the next target, I don't know what we're doing in this house. It's just like crazy. There's only like one person that he would be good for, or 2 people, I guess. Thank you for the super chat. Person A in the Royal Flush, I think it's too early. Person B, dude, we're the only ones left. I mean, that's a lot of people. It's too early. Wait, we're final 2. What? You guys, thank you so much for joining me, Chantele and Jonathan. Everyone knows to go subscribe to Reality Realness, but Jonathan, tell us where else people can find you.
I mean, you can find me on Instagram probably. So I mean, you can try. I'm a mystery. I just pop up every here and a little bit here, a little bit there. But Jonathan Oliveira 1983 on Instagram if you like. That's probably.
And Chantele?
Well, Reality Realness with 3 S's is where I hang out most days during the day, 2 and 3 p.m. Eastern, talking about Love Island UK and Love Island US. And then, of course, on Saturdays, Sarah and I talk about Survivor South Africa. So I'm pretty much around the town, and the challenge season is starting. So on Fridays, I'll be with Reality Pop talking about the challenge. And then on my own channel, Reality Realness, on Wednesdays after the episode. So that's coming starting next week, and we should be doing a draft pick and cast assessment on Friday. So the challenge season is here.
Is Friday. Oh my gosh. I've never watched the challenge. I'm just going to watch you talk about it.
Jonathan and I were very strong about like how much we love the challenge. And so we forced JoJo, who you've met, to go back and do some homework and watch, because we were just kind of like, we don't know if we can be friends with you anymore if you do not watch this. And so he started, I believe, on season 11, and he can't stop watching. And so I think he's on season 29 or 30 now, watching all the way straight through.
Yeah.
So
and it took him a while to get there, like pushed him to start. But like Chantele said, as soon as he started, he kept updating us with like he was on the next season, the next and the next.
So maybe it might be your time. I can help you out. Maybe find some access. Oh no, you have Paramount Plus. So you got it.
Yeah, I got access. If you can get me to do it, you will be the winner, because a lot of people have tried and it hasn't happened yet. But maybe one of these days, you guys. Thank you to everyone in the chat for joining us live and giving us your insights. We appreciate it. We love it. And if you're joining us later, please leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about the target this week, who you want to win Endurance HOH coming up. And all of your heart's desires. Just leave it in the comments and let me know. And I'll be back tomorrow after the episode with David. So I will see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.